Okay, welcome back. This is episode 5. I thought I would carry on the sequence that I was on from last week with the painting of the kind of demon characters that were inspired by initially by a paint in your style, and I moved on to I got inspired by the idea of just colours, setting off the inspiration for the paintings. So white was kind of the colour that was the main focus of the last painting, and then I thought, well, why not try and do kind of a pinky purpley type demon, and so that's what this painting is here. So to make this, I had some reference. I'd gone on Pinterest and just found some pictures of some people that I thought might make good elfy demon type characters, and then I started drawing and painting it. So let me go through the video for you. So initially, I'm just working with straight edges as much as possible. Excuse me. Trying not to make curves too early, and just trying to break down the shapes of the face that I was looking at into the rough sizes, and using straight lines really helps you find the angles of the different parts of the face. If you're using curves, they can be quite hard to visualize and get the angles correct. So straight lines really help, and you can see I'm moving lots of the features around on the face as well, which is one of the advantages in working digitally. You can just kind of shift it around and move it back and forth. So yeah, working on my drawing, trying to refine it as much as possible, but recognizing that I'm gonna paint it. So again, as with lots of my drawings, I put a layer over it to drop the opacity and do a new layer, and then a more refined drawing just to really stretch out and explore those shapes, and so I get them to a point where I'm really happy with them, and I know that the drawing is good, because if the drawing's good, then the painting will be better, and a good drawing can save a bad painting, which is good for me because I'm a bad painter. So I'm just going through making sure that I'm happy with my line work, and I was really liking this drawing at this point. I felt like I had a nice angle on the face, and it had a bit of an atmosphere about it that I thought would work well for the character. And so I'm just going through now. This is a slightly different point. A lot of my paintings that I've shown you so far have been a grayscale, moved on to adding colour with an overlay layer. In this painting I was doing a different technique where I just blocked in a local colour on different layers, so that I could then put a layer on top where I would paint into that colour, and so this is a straight to colour type painting. I find it much more difficult, and it is more difficult, I think, because you're dealing with values, but also colour and hue and saturation, and it's a lot more challenging. So I'm enjoying doing the black and white first, because it does take away a bit of the pressure that you have with the colour to get that painting right first time. But at the same time, it is good to have a challenge, and this was a challenge, to paint a face in a way that felt kind of real, but was completely made up colours and strange combinations. So yeah, I'm just exploring now, trying to add some detail into the hair and design some shapes, get the eyes nice and set, and trying to bring out what some of the shadow colours might be on this kind of skin colour. I decided to keep a lot of the line work on these paintings because I quite liked it being a bit kind of graphic, and I'm just going through thinking about the dark areas, and then light areas, dark areas, light areas, and just making sure that they balance out as well as they can do. So yeah, I'm trying not to noodle and zoom close in on the painting as I'm doing it, even though I often do end up doing that. And I use a combination of, when I'm trying to blend the different colours or lights into darks, I use a combination of colour picking, so doing a bit of brushwork, colour pick in between the two colours, and use that colour to kind of blend through them, and just the sort of smudge tool, It's really effective on, especially on, I find on the Procreate. I found it easier to use than on Photoshop. So I'll kind of go back and forth, and you can see that there. I'm just piling some color on and using the smudge tool and just smudging it around, and then I can go back into it and try to cut in some hard edges. So I tend to try to work from very, very blurry and blended, and then try to cut the harder edges into it, rather than start with the hard edges and try to blur them out, because often pictures, especially digital pictures, look not great when they're too soft and everything's too blurred, because it's very tempting to do that because it's so easy to do and it's quite satisfying. So I start at that point, so I kind of try to get a blurry, very blended start, and then I focus on cutting in the hard lines and shapes, so that by doing it in that order, you're less likely, I think, to lose those hard edges. Whereas if you start with them, it's very easy to overwork it. So yeah, I decided it'd be nice if she had some kind of raven shoulder, made of like raven feather shoulder pad thing, dress, and I wanted this to be quite loose, to sort of contrast against the face and the line work. And so I'm using trying to experiment with different texture brushes, being quite loose with it, experimenting with some color. Put a little bit of flash of kind of pink in there, and I like doing these kind of things with different materials, because when you look at sort of feathers of birds or fabrics and those kind of things, there's a lot of complexity to it, and so to try to find that complexity without literally drawing every single stitch or every single piece of the feather, or every feather individually, is quite a challenge. And it's quite, I think the best paintings are those ones where you look at it and you can easily recognize what it is, and it seems like it's kind of got a lot of realism to it, but when you look at it closely, it's just a few strokes and a few squiggles. And so that's what I was sort of trying to do in the things that she was wearing, and it's somewhat successful, but needs work, needs practice. Yeah, the neck area was somewhere I was kind of struggling with a little bit. I extended the neck more than a human's neck would be, because I wanted her to have this kind of ethereal, strange kind of element about her. But then that obviously means that all the anatomy is kind of slightly different, and so that can be a bit of a challenge. But yeah, that's the painting. So that was the pinky purpley demon elf lady. Next week I'll go through, I think the last one I did was an orange demon, so I'll go through that next week, and then we'll have a look at some other paintings that I've done, and yeah, hopefully everybody's doing well. Give it a like if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe. That'd be really helpful, and just some feedback and comments would also be really, really helpful. Well, have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, bye.